What is the most beautiful forehand in the history of tennis? There are many different types of forehands, but most people would probably give the same answer: Roger Federer's forehand. Federer's modern forehand combines the stability of the classic forehand with the explosive power of the modern horizontal swing. It features powerful acceleration built on a straight arm structure and smooth racket lag. Through an inside-out swing path, it generates both high speed and heavy spin on the ball. By maximizing the kinetic chain, the racket is swung with the entire body rather than just the arm. Because of this, Federer's forehand is often considered one of the most technically complete and aesthetically beautiful shots in tennis history. This forehand played a pioneering role in the evolution from the classic forehand to the modern forehand. Many tennis players and club players around the world have tried to imitate it. However, most of them fail. And they often say the same thing: that's only possible because it's Federer. I tried it and it didn't work. So it won't work for you either. And to be honest, there is a reason why people say that. There are very few people who can actually teach the Federer forehand properly. Federer himself has never really explained the mechanics of his forehand in detail. So even though people call it the textbook forehand of tennis, it has ironically become a textbook that almost nobody can truly follow. So the question is this: is the Federer forehand really impossible? I don't think so. It may not be possible to copy it perfectly, but imitating the Federer forehand is definitely possible. In fact, many players around the world are already trying to learn and reproduce elements of it. So what is the real secret behind Federer's forehand? And what do we actually need to do in order to perform it? In this video, I will explain the key principles behind it. And while watching, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Now, the most iconic feature of Federer's forehand is what many people call lag. In Korea, the term lagging is commonly used, but the more accurate concept is related to leg drive within the kinetic chain. This lag phenomenon is the result of the kinetic chain maximizing the acceleration of the racket swing. It works very much like the motion of a whip. Because of this, wrist flexibility and the proper transfer of energy become extremely important. However, most beginners are taught to keep the wrist fixed at a right angle when learning the forehand. This is because it helps them hit the ball more consistently and more vertically. But if you want to perform a modern ATP-style forehand, wrist flexibility is absolutely essential. And this is exactly where many club players start to struggle. So the next question is this: how do we actually create racket lag? The first key lies in the inside-out swing path. When people hear the term inside out, they usually think of running around their backhand to hit a forehand. But here, we are not talking about shot direction. We are talking about the swing path of the racket. The racket travels from the inside of the body outward. During this movement, the butt cap of the racket starts pointing toward the ball. As this happens, the wrist naturally bends and the racket head lags behind. That natural delay is what we call racket lag. To create this swing path, the position of the ball becomes extremely important. The ball needs to be positioned more to the right side of your body. This is where many players become confused, because most coaches say you should hit the ball in front of your body. So players start wondering, wait, are you saying I should hit the ball from the side? But here is the important point. Even if the ball is slightly to the side, as long as it is a little bit in front of your body, it is still considered in front. If you don't understand this left and right spacing between your body and the ball, it becomes almost impossible to develop a modern forehand. When the ball is too close in front of your body, the racket has no choice but to swing upward. In Korea, this is often called a vertical swing. This type of swing was very common in classic forehands. It produces a safe looping ball with good topspin, but it cannot generate extremely high speed. And that is why ATP players rarely use this kind of swing today. Now let's look at Federer's forehand. Does the ball look like it is directly in front of him? Not really. The ball is slightly in front, but it is also positioned to the side where the racket is accelerating outward. Because of this, when Federer makes contact with the ball, he often appears to be looking to the side rather than straight ahead. Understanding this shift in perspective is extremely important. Without this change in understanding, It is very difficult to perform a true modern straight-arm forehand. Now we have learned two important things. First, racket lag appears naturally when the racket follows an inside-out swing path. Second, in order to create this swing path, the ball must be positioned slightly forward and to the right side of the body. However, many club players experience wrist pain when they try to create this lag. Why does that happen? The answer can be found in basic physics. Every object that has force and direction tends to maintain that motion. This is known as the law of inertia. During the take back, when you rotate the racket backward, the racket gains momentum moving toward the back. Now imagine that you suddenly try to swing the butt cap toward the ball. At that moment, the racket still wants to move backward, while your hand is trying to move forward. These two opposing forces collide, and the point where they collide is the wrist. If this continues to happen repeatedly, the ligaments and muscles in the wrist begin to accumulate damage. Eventually, this can lead to wrist injuries. So then another question arises. Federer uses a racket that weighs around 340 grams. That is a very heavy racket, and yet he can swing it incredibly fast without injuring his wrist. How is that possible? This is actually one of the biggest reasons many club players give up on trying the Federer forehand. Wrist pain. But does that mean the technique is impossible? No, not at all. And that is exactly why I made this video. Now I will explain how to create natural racket lag without putting excessive stress on your wrist. The first important principle is this. You should never fight the racket. When I say, don't fight the racket, some of you might feel confused. Earlier we talked about how racket lag appears because of inertia, but also how that inertia can create stress on the wrist. So how do we solve this problem? The key is to change the direction of the racket's inertia. During the takeback, we naturally drop the racket from high to low. In modern forehands, the backswing has become much more compact, but this dropping motion still exists. The important detail here is the space under the armpit. When the armpit opens slightly and the racket begins to drop, the direction of the racket's inertia changes. Instead of moving purely backward, the momentum begins to move downward. At this moment, as your body weight shifts forward, the racket naturally starts moving toward the net. Now the direction of the racket's inertia becomes diagonal, somewhere between the direction of the net and the ground. And this is the exact moment we are looking for. When the racket's momentum is already moving in a direction similar to the intended swing, we then initiate hip rotation. This is where the true lag begins to appear. Of course, lag can also appear if you simply swing your arm. But when you rely only on the arm, there is still a chance that the arm and racket forces will collide. To avoid this, the rotation of the body must happen first. When the large force of the torso starts the movement, and that energy then flows into the arm and finally into the racket, true racket lag appears. This is the essence of the kinetic chain. To achieve this, specific training is required. First, the largest forces must occur earlier in the sequence, followed by smaller forces in a chain-like order. Second, there must be moments of sudden acceleration and sudden stopping. This is what creates the whip-like effect. You can think of it like a medieval catapult. If there were no stopping point at the front, the catapult arm would simply collapse downward. But when the arm suddenly stops against the front support, the stored energy is transferred into the projectile, and the stone flies far into the distance. The same principle applies to Federer's forehand. When a stopping effect occurs, the final portion of the energy flows through the wrist and into the racket. At that moment, the racket reaches its highest acceleration, and that is exactly when the strongest impact happens. This sense of stopping is essential for the whipping mechanism of the forehand to work. The first stopping point occurs in the upper body. Earlier we learned that as weight transfer occurs, the racket is pulled forward while lag develops, and the hips and torso begin to rotate. The upper body should start rotating very quickly, but it must also stop first. When the upper body slows or stops, the energy transfers into the shoulder and then into the arm. As the energy travels through the arm, another brief stopping effect occurs just before impact. At that moment, the racket head overtakes the hand. This is the exact moment when lag transforms into whip. The moment many players have been searching for. To truly develop this skill, specific training focused on these stopping mechanics is necessary. I will explain those drills in much more detail in my membership videos. Today, we explored the first step toward understanding and building the Federer forehand.